Three, two, one.
This is episode 14 of DJ Talks. I'm Johnny,
Hey, what's
and
up?
that is
I'm
Dan.
Dan. Well, hello.
And this is going to be an off the cuff episode. Nothing's prepared. Just going to go on it and talk about whatever comes to mind around the topic of dating.
Dating.
So,
Woo!
yeah.
That's a big topic for most people, right?
I don't know. I think some people like they care a lot. Some people are just like hella lonely, and other people are like they don't really care.
Yeah,
Or
but
maybe more people care than they're willing to vocalize.
exactly. They don't want to show that they're lonely. That's what Instagram, Facebook, that's what we talked about at the millennial thing. Instagram, Facebook, they want to show that their life is amazing. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but probably. Because, you're judged on kind of what you do and what excitement you have in your life. Maybe not judged, maybe just seen. So, so yeah, I think dating's an interesting topic for most people, in my opinion.
What do you mean by that?
A lot of people either want to be in a relationship or date or have some type of bond with some person, some type of endorphin. No,
What?
what is that chemical that gets released? Oxytocin? Yeah, oxytocin. I think it's like that feeling when you hug a person. Like that good feeling of when you hug a person and this chemical releases in your body and it gets you closer to that person. You know what I'm talking about? I have no clue what I'm saying, but I know this is the thing.
I know what you're saying, but like, I just think there are different ways to phrase it, is all. But
know
you're
what?
right. I think a lot of people do seek that bond with someone else. And
Exactly. So I think we're gonna kind of go into it. We're gonna be talking a little bit about in-school dating versus out-of-school dating, right? So in-school dating, high school, college, kind of what were your experiences, and then out-of-school dating, what are your thoughts, or what have you seen, or what have we heard, or all of the social media or just media in general. How does it portray it? So I guess starting off, what's your dating life like in what was your dating life like in college and high school?
whoa, I thought we were talking about dating, not my dating life.
Oh, all right.
Jesus.
All right.
No.
Maybe not specific. Maybe that's just dating life in general. What are your thoughts on dating in high school or college?
No, you're fine. I'm just giving you a hard time.
No.
My dating life in high school was very unique because I tell this to a lot of people, but in high school I was a very different person than who I was in college. Who was not very different, but still pretty different from who I am now. In college, I was very naive. I was very arrogant. I was I wouldn't say cocky, but I felt like I thought I was hot shit. Like I was so fucking dope, and I thought I was like
King of
a
the
cool ass
jungle.
dude. I mean, that's how I presented myself at least. And um, I don't know. I think in high school, it was there. My experience with dating in high school showed me that there were more girls that were interested in me than I realized, and th- I was that was a news flash to me because I was like, yeah, I was like super confident and super arrogant, but like I never thought that I was seen as attractive by other people in a romantic sense.
Hmm.
But
This was in high
um,
school, right?
yeah, so my freshman year experience was really unique because um, I went to the same school for high school that I did for seventh and eighth grade, and it was somewhat of a transition going into like the high school program, but it was similar enough to where I was still surrounded by a decent amount of people that were familiar. But with the influx of freshmen that came in, came a bunch of girls that I was like, oh, I want to like try to meet somebody. I think it'd be really cool. And I was like really adamant on like trying to find somebody that I could talk to and then like get to know better. Um, so there's one girl that I dated for like 3 weeks, but it fell apart because like she was very dishonest with me about how like she felt about me and how she was like, and she accused me of liking my ex, who was someone I dated um 2 years prior when I was in seventh grade. And then it just got like really messy real quick, and it just like fell apart.
Hmm.
But that was really funny because I was like, I remember telling myself like, I really want to date somebody because it's freshman year and there's like a ton of cute girls coming in, and they were, but I just like I think I just wanted the relationship more than anything else, so that quickly fell apart.
Okay.
I actually had no idea what I was doing too, and she was my first kiss, but that was like really, it was really. This was in a phase where like, so I'm 5'6", but like at the time I think I was like 5'3", 5'4". I mean I was still growing, but like I had a phase where I wore large. I wear small. This is a smaller medium, but like the t-shirts I usually wear are smalls. At that time I wore large white t-shirts, as in like size L, and then really baggy faded jeans, and then I wore like black and red Jordans. So like I dressed so differently, and I was like,
that was the
Jesus
style,
Christ.
though. That was
It
the
was.
style back then. Yeah, in high school times. Yeah.
And that definitely came from like just the style at the time, but also because I grew up in an area where that's just what like a lot of people wore. So I remember like my first kiss. It was at a park right across the street from my high school, and it was kind of raining that day, and we were like under a tree near a playground, and like I remember like being in a like big ass white t-shirt, and I just went for it. I gave her a kiss, and I was like, holy
Romantic.
shit. I was like, what the fuck? This is insane. Like, I was just like, I can't believe I had the balls to do that, because I didn't think I had the balls to do any of that.
Freshman year.
Yeah, it was my freshman year of high school.
Damn.
I was like, yeah. So then my sophomore year of high school, a friend, I met this girl who's a mutual friend of mine with like a bunch of other people, and we hit it off pretty quickly. But she still had feelings for one of my mutual friends, so who is still one of my like closest friends today. But she had to spend some time getting over him, even though she knew that she liked me too. That was probably my most serious relationship, and that lasted 4 years on and off. It was more on and off towards like the latter year and a half, but for the most part, it was going pretty well, I guess.
So, guess the question for you then is, well, how would you define that type of dating? As in, what did you kind of do? How did you approach it? Was it just like, hey, you're kind of cool, I want to be your girl or boyfriend? Or was it like, oh, we're chilling, we're hanging out, and I guess now we're boyfriend and girlfriend? Or like, did you define it? Did you have some terms for it? That's how I know I remember it. Oh man, you're my boyfriend now. Or hey, do you want to be my girlfriend? Or it's not like, hey, we're going out, we're chilling, we're just dating. How did you define the high school years of dating, or how did you approach it?
I think that was one of the relationships in my life that were more organically developed to some degree, but not quite. So in that phase of my life, I really liked the idea of having somebody there, and I really liked the idea of having a companion. I also was just very excited by the idea of having a girlfriend, like, period. Like, I think that the idea of having a girlfriend is separate from the idea of having a companion, because it's very easy to want companionship, and you can still get that from a friend, but it may depend on the type of friendship, and I think that is a different emotion than when you have a girlfriend, which I feel is more along the lines of a desired label or idea that I think is more for presentation or publicity. So,
or
that relationship,
scientifically, that oxytocin type thing. Yeah.
Oh my
Sorry.
god, get out of here.
Keep going.
Oxytocin, motherfucker. So I think with that relationship, we were like taking all the steps to like get closer, and that was showing in our actions. We were talking to each other all the time. This is back when we didn't use Facebook, and everyone used fucking AOL Instant Messenger, which apparently is dying soon. And I'm so sad that AIM is dying, but like that was when like everyone had like these stupid ass fonts with these stupid ass highlights and all these colors.
XX baby girl, XX
all
star
these stupid-ass
crystal.
screen names. And then like not everyone was always online. You could only talk to them when they're online. And the best part about that was if they were online, they would probably more than likely respond to you. And if they were offline, then they just wouldn't respond. They were offline. And or if they were away, they were actually away. Like now with Facebook, it's so fucking hard because it's really easy for people to respond to you and just like, play it off as they were unavailable or didn't see your message, some fucking bullshit. Anyway, so with this girl, like we were just talking on AIM a lot every day, and then it got like really late. I remember like for weeks I would stay up till like 1 or 2 a.m. with her, and then I would like sleep for like 3-4 hours and then go to school, and then just to like see her again. We started going on dates, and then we started like, I took her to homecoming, like all this corny shit, right? We started fooling around. That's how like it was like going along the lines of everything that we would expect, and we didn't know what we were doing. It was just like whatever we felt was natural, what felt right, and we were just like going with it. So like, oh, I do want to like go see this movie with you. I do want to go to your place and like hang out and stuff. So it was really chill. But we still didn't call it a relationship because she was getting over that other guy. So when I officially asked her out, I guess that was really weird for me because we had already been like seeing each other. We had already been spending time with each other, and that was acknowledged. That was mutually desired. But we didn't consider ourselves dating because of that label. So
Yeah.
I think that what's really unique though about that relationship was that I don't see it like, while it was a very serious relationship in the sense that we were dating and we were committed to each other for a long time, I don't think that it's the kind of relationship that I am looking to reestablish with someone if I were to start dating now. I guess like just for transparency, I am single right now. So in what I'm looking for with a partner, it's like I don't expect to have that kind of relationship again or that kind of experience, nor do I think that what would happen would come about like that. In high school, we were going through a lot of transformative discussions, and it was a very interesting dynamic because I had to learn how to share my life with somebody else while taking some of that from her. And but like, we both made a lot of really stupid mistakes that still happen in relationships that I hear about from people my age. It's just that I'm glad that I had the experience of having gone through like really high highs and really low lows with her, because it puts me in a position so when I'm looking for a relationship, I have a better idea of what I want.
Yeah.
But this only lasted until like the beginning of my sophomore year in college. So I haven't like really seriously dated anybody for like, I would say like 3.5 years now or so. Is that right?
It's okay. We don't need to know about the specific details, but just to let you know,
it's 4 years. Yeah, it's kind of sad for me because I'm like, I've been looking for a while, but not super actively. But yeah, It's like
my dating life in high school was pretty much non-existent. That's all you can say about that. No. When I guess through high school, it was more like immature. Don't know exactly what it was. It was more so like like you see things in the movie and this is how you want it to be. This romantic kind of like, progression of, we meet each other. Oh, now I'm gonna take you out on a nice little dinner or something, and then boom, we're going out or dating or something. So that was what was in my mind. But honestly, it was more so too immature and too socially awkward to kind of go through more so dating, or I was just too afraid I was very afraid to be rejected. And that stayed the same way until pretty much, I probably still feel the same way now. I can guarantee you if I didn't have my girlfriend right now, I would still be so scared to be rejected. But yeah, my very first girlfriend, I guess you can consider a girlfriend, it was like a fling girlfriend thing, was in my senior year of high school. So that progressed out of an organization that we joined. It was like a cool kind of almost like our Big Sib in our college, where it's like a brother, sister, or like a upperclassman, lowerclassman kind of organization.
You develop mentorship relationships that become like you're supposed to be best friends, sort of.
There you go. That's a good word to say it. But overall, we went through this actual camp. It was like a 2 or 3 week camp.
Was she your sister?
No, she wasn't.
Okay.
I had a little brother. Okay, I had a little brother. It's cool. It wasn't my
Okay.
little sister. It wasn't that weird. It didn't feel that weird. But she was definitely younger than most people would approve of at that
How
time.
old were you and how old was she?
I wasn't actually that young, but I was a senior and she was a freshman.
Okay.
But I'm a young senior, or I was a young senior. So I was
That's
like,
still 3 years, right?
yeah, 3 years.
So you had a fling with a freshman when you were a senior. Was that cool from your school, dude?
Yeah, no. But it was only during summer, so it's good. Nobody knew about it. I'm just kidding.
All
I'm just
right.
kidding. No, maybe some people did, but yeah, it was just out of that where we hung out. We grew to know each other because of this organization. We were in like a
Right.
little, like a family. Like a
Uh-huh.
family. Like everybody. There's a couple people picked out, a couple of mentors, a couple of little sibs, and then just put it into one group. And we did a lot of activities together throughout this entire trip. So it developed through that. We hung out more, we talked more, and that's where it kind of developed out. And through that, it just kind of went through the summer, and I don't even know how it came about, but we just hung out more and more, and then eventually it was just like, oh, will you be my girlfriend or something? It was to that point where we were pretty much already dating, like you pretty much thought, and then finally we labeled it and said, okay, there it is. So,
Right.
but overall, I think it was just a very immature, fearful way of kind of going through a relationship or going through uh, dating in general.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, after that, it was college, right? College is slightly different where you're away from home, you're away from your parents, you're in your own kind of
Yeah.
community and society and organizations and all of this stuff where
Right.
you can develop relationships almost deeper because you literally see each other every single day, or at least a whole group of people that you are friends with, or you literally see them every single day from after class till like 3 a.m. Pull all nighters too if you want. What were your thoughts? I know you said you didn't really date too much through college, but what were your thoughts on kind of other people's dating life? What were your thoughts on how they handled it? You probably have heard stories. You don't have to obviously say specifics, but you've heard stories about, oh man, this was my dating. This is how, oh my God, I like this girl. How did that progress through college?
Mm, I thought it was actually really hard to date in college because I think this is because I was so worried about how others would. So I should preface this by saying that I spent time in college with a lot of different people, and I think that there are a small handful of them that were really good friends that I still keep up with today. But there are others who I felt was more difficult for me to let loose and be myself because I think that they found it easy to get themselves involved in other people's business, so it made it difficult for me to have the confidence to pursue personal relationships with people without worrying about how others would interpret those or whatever. But anyway, I think for me it was a lot of just casual, like getting to know people and then like going on one, maybe 2 dates, but then realizing that a lot of them didn't work out. But I think it was also because I had a really hard time getting over my high school relationship because of how badly it ended. And also because I had a lot of other things to address before I felt confident putting myself in a position to get involved in someone else's life. But I think that I was surrounded by so many people who just like, oh man, I don't know why they do this. Like they start dating somebody and then they immediately jump to like extreme seriousness. Like I don't know why. It just a lot of the relationships that I saw from my friends around me were very serious very quickly, and then they will like start moving in with each other. Like they will spend a lot of time with each other all the time. You know, if you invite one of them to go hang out with you, the other one would naturally be expected to come with. And I think that creates a really blurred line between what it means to have a social life, what it means to have a personal relationship with somebody, and then like everything in between. When you lose a majority of your identity to be mixed in with somebody else. So then like when someone thinks of your name, they associate with not just your name, but then their significant other. And I think it makes it very difficult to have friendships just based on that. I always dislike that model of dating because like I want to date people. I don't want to relationship people all the fucking time. And I think that part of me was looking to try to casually date people to get to know them and see what I liked and what I didn't like. And I learned a lot about what I didn't like. Trust me, there are like so many bad dates that I had. But I think that when I'm surrounded by all these people who are relationshiping, even before they establish anything and they're serious or like they're afraid of these labels and whatever other bullshit's going on, it's especially difficult to like see why people go about how they live their lives because they're very worried about public perception, social media, and then that other person. So it's like it gets really messy really quickly. And I think that for me, I want to try, like in college, I wanted to see if there were people that I could like develop an organic relationship with, but that was just really hard. And I think that I could have done a lot better in like trying to meet other people and reach out to groups where I may not have felt as comfortable, but like I was just so surrounded by so many people that were like so involved with each other that it made it difficult to like even be friends with them sometimes.
Of course. Now, my question here is, and this thought came up, in my opinion, I feel like it becomes that way because they never had the freedom to explore earlier in high school or in junior high. Because of the immaturity level, either they were too afraid, or they never developed a specific type of relationship, or their parents were strict enough to the point where they weren't allowed to, or didn't have the capacity. Or obviously, high school was so much more dramatic, so much more judgmental. Everything you did, every minute detail was, torn apart. Right? What you wear, who you're friends with. But in college, it's a little different where it doesn't matter who you're friends with. You find your own group of people. And you find that group of people where you can kind of, or a large group of people, doesn't matter what it is, that you can kind of hang out with. And you're away from your parents. So the freedom to literally do whatever you want to do in that relationship without having the restrictions, I feel like that's why in college people instantly jump into these types of situations where it's like, boom, I'm relationshiping all over.
I disagree. Okay. I think that's true and applies to some people. So like what you said will only apply to some people, but in those cases, I believe that to be true, where they were very much restricted in high school, or they had to go through some bureaucracy of mom then dad, or dad then mom, and then approval from like grandma and grandpa and like all these other people, like, and then like just being surrounded in this environment where like it's difficult to date and be yourself. I completely agree with that. But I think that they're like some of the people I know who were put in those situations eventually found themselves like doing a lot more exploring before settling down. Like one friend of mine, she would like spend a lot of time meeting other people and then like dating a lot of people at once before she would actually settle down in a relationship instead of like relationshiping right away. A lot of the people I know who are like what the phrase I'm using, relationshiping, they have dated seriously before. In fact, most of them, like now that I'm thinking about a lot of the people who are like I had in mind, a lot of them have dated seriously before. So I think that while they may not have had the freedom to experience a full-blown relationship at home where they live with their parents, that they don't have the freedom that they would have liked to have, or is like unparalleled to what they have in college, I do think that the strictness of parents and stuff doesn't apply to the people I'm talking to, I'm thinking of only because they just make the decision that they want to be dedicated to that person all the time. To like they're sharing keys with each other, and they're like, I don't know, driving each other's cars and always going to parties with each other, and then I don't know. It's just Maybe
Okay.
that's just
Well,
a single lonely me that's like complaining about all these people that have each other. But I also think that there is a lot of value in individualism, and that's lost when you
yeah.
associate yourself so deeply with someone else.
Maybe a little bit of cynicism so in you, but at the same time I can very much see, I know some people as well who realize their mistake after they did it. But people like moving in together very soon, getting an apartment together like second year of college, or even just jumping straight in, and there are people who you almost never see again. The second they get into a relationship, after that they're just gone, and then the second they're out of that relationship, they're back. So I can definitely see your point where there are differences in that, and it does get to the point where it's you can't really feel like you're even or they're even friends anymore,
Yeah,
right? And
I agree.
I completely understand. Uh, it definitely is the case for quite a few people. So, and I don't know. I still think that it's just the freedom that kind of brings them to that point. At the same time, some people are just very much like that. They are fully invested into that person no matter what happens or who they may hurt or anything like that. So, but yeah, I mean, kind of moving on from there, what about real life out of college exploration? Because when you said people explored in college, I was actually somewhat surprised. Like when you said some people or some of your friends dated around, explored first, and then settled on something. That sounds to me like the almost after college life, where you don't have a choice in kind of hanging out with one group of people and then finally picking that one person out of that group of people. No, now you're literally at home, go to work, maybe see some people at work. So you have to kind of explore in order to build up a relationship. Things like Tinder and Coffee Meets Bagel and all this stuff, and that's what kind of helps it.
I think when you're in college, it's easy to explore, like super fucking easy. You go to like any club meeting in any other room on any day of the week, and you'll randomly meet people who are probably single and probably don't want to do their homework, so they are probably willing to get to know you. I think in when you're working, it's way more difficult to find people that you can talk to, find people that you can get to know, especially when it's more like no one really it's exhausting when you like go to work and then you want to like try to find somebody to date when you're like all you want to do is like eat, wash up, and then like curl up in bed and like watch Netflix or some shit. Like people want to relax, people want to take care of themselves, and I kind of talked a little bit about this in our episode about perceptions of what it's like to work in Tokyo, because a lot of the people that I spoke to when I was in Tokyo talked a lot about how they want to be with other people and they want to have more time to their personal lives, but they're dedicated to 10, 12, 14-hour days of work, then they really can't. And then the very little free time that they have to themselves, they dedicate to just taking care of themselves or like getting a breather or like sleeping in that extra 2 hours. And when you're working in the real world, I think it's very difficult to find people too, because you'll oftentimes find people who are already dating somebody, I think, and in our age, because it's just really easy for people to like date on and off. So maybe that's something to take advantage of. Like you meet somebody and then you realize that they're about to get out of a relationship or they stopped dating someone. One person I recently met, she was dating somebody for a very long time and they were pretty serious. But then, I met her as they were like falling apart and she left him. So, it could be about timing too, but I think that it's way harder to meet people when you're working
Mm-hmm.
because you have to really commit time to go out of your way to do that. Whereas in college, you get out of class, you could probably like go chill somewhere public, and then you see somebody like maybe go sit next to them with your Starbucks and then like just be really nice. I don't know. I think like with the working life, it's way more difficult.
Okay, I guess I guess we have to define the term then, because you said meeting people is very easy. That's true, yes. But what about dating people? What would
I
you
think dating people is just as easy in college.
what would you consider or what would you define as dating?
Just going on dates with somebody and meeting with them. Like I think dating has a very heavy connotation to it. It's a very loaded term because when you say you're dating somebody, then it makes it sound like you're very serious with them. If you
Mhm.
say that you're in a relationship with them, then I think that's very clear. If you say you're seeing somebody, I think that's a little lighter. Like, I can go on a dinner date with you, Dan. I can go on a date with any of my friends and like get
Right.
to know them. I'm going on a date later today, but that's just to catch up with one of my friends. I think that like dating somebody is going repeatedly on these kind of outings with somebody where you like
Mhm.
spend time with them and you get to know them, and then like when you seriously date somebody, then I think that that's where you extend further in that. I like, but the difference between like dating and relationshiping, I think, is like a relationship implies something very serious where you're committed and you're exclusive. I think that dating doesn't necessarily have to be exclusive. I don't think it's bad to date 10 people at once if you can keep track of all their fucking names and birthdays and favorite colors and whatever. Like that's on you. But
Yeah.
like it's okay to date a lot of people. It's just not okay to make them feel like the exclusive or to lead them on in ways where you know it'll hurt them, especially if they know that you are just dating them and you're getting to know them. That's totally fine. It's kind of like the idea, I guess, of speed dating, but like
Mhm.
not fast.
Right, right.
Like you're just taking your time to get to know them, but then like you go on 1, 2, maybe 3 dates while you go on a first date with somebody else. Maybe you'll like that person that you're going on a first date with way more than the guy that you've already gone on 3 dates with, and fine. Or you might meet some girl that's like way better than anyone else. I just threw my pen out against the wall. Maybe you'll meet some girl that's like way better than everybody that you're dating now. You could drop them all because like you weren't serious with them anyway. You can still be friends with them, but then commit to that one person. I don't think that it's wrong if you're not committed, you're not exclusive, and no one
Mhm.
gets hurt if you're like exploring and trying to figure out what it is that you like or
And
what you want in a partner.
I completely agree with that exact definition. But in college, do you not think the people, at least in those age ranges, view that type of dating, that type of definition of dating, to be wrong? Like, if you're in college, I remember when in college, if you're dating one person. You're not, but I guess that's where you say that in college people went really hard into, they went straight into relationshiping, right? So that's where I'm saying, is dating easy or is going into a relationship easy in college? That's where it's like the fine line between, okay, dating, people, how do they view it versus in the real world right now when you're working dating, people view that normal. That's a normal life thing. You go on a couple dates with one person, maybe 3 people, maybe 5 people, and nobody's seriously hurt because you're dating somebody else. Do you see where I'm getting at that? Whereas in college, people may get hurt because you're trying to date somebody else.
That's just because they're children and they're emotional. I think that that's
Exactly.
fine because they're like growing up and they're transforming. They're like
Hmm.
learning how to become an adult and understanding that aspect of the world. Especially because you're coming out of college. I mean, high school, where you have a lot like all the like you're surrounded by people who are like seriously relationshiping for so long and things like that. Um, I think that there is a bit of a negative connotation to like the idea of casually dating people in college because it comes off the wrong way. Especially when in college, it's like super easy to just hook up with somebody and like sleep with them one night when it was just intended to be a date. You wake up and you're like, well, I really didn't like him anyway, so like I'm gonna drop him. And it's like, well, that feels bad because like you slept with them and now they're like emotionally attached. So I
Hmm.
think that there are like more instances like that that make it so it's more complicated. That's like just college makes it so like it's very difficult for you to like not be involved in for people not to be involved in other people's lives. But
Hmm.
I do agree that like it's more socially acceptable in my eyes to date multiple people and
Hmm.
get to know them on a like acquaintance to friendship level in when you're working as opposed to in college.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, especially because in college where you're with a group of people, a good group of friends, whereas in the real world you're kind of dating many different people from many different places almost. They
Hmm.
don't all know each other and they can all gossip like you said or get into people's business a
Yeah.
lot, right?
And I wish I didn't care about that. Like I wish I went
Mhm.
to go like ask out people, and I wish that I mean, I don't regret not doing it because I think I spent a lot of that time doing things that I liked,
Mhm.
and I enjoyed myself. But like, I really wish that I would have had the chance to ask out people that I would have been interested in. Or I actually remember, gosh, this is kind of embarrassing. There's one time that I was invited out to a dinner party, and I think the girl was interested. I just didn't pick up on it at all, and I felt really bad because I'm like, why would? In hindsight, I'm like, huh. She invited me to a dinner party and then invited me back to her place, and I didn't think of that at
Woo!
all. But
Woo!
like, I totally passed it
There
up, and
you
I just went
go.
home afterwards. Like,
Oh,
I was like,
baby.
wow, I could have like gotten to know her better. I could have talked to her more, and she was someone that I thought was pretty nice. So I was like, man,
Mhm.
I didn't think of that at all. So that's definitely like on me. But
Now, what are your thoughts on all of these Tinder, Coffee Meets Bagel, East Meets East, all of this stuff? It wasn't, I think, as big when we were
what
in
the
college,
fuck is
right?
East Meets East?
Ho ho!
Is that an Asian dating app?
That is an Asian dating app.
Oh my god, that name is so stupid.
What? You haven't seen Christian Mingle or
I've heard of Christian
Farmer?
Mingle.
Farmer.
I meme about Christian Mingle, dude. I think that shit is
Hilarious.
Anyway.
But yes.
um
But no, by
Right.
all means, viewers, if you Christian mingle, we're not saying it's bad. It's just a very interesting way, just like East Meets East. Very interesting
I don't think it's
way
bad. I just think the name is like
to kind
hilarious.
of, yep,
That's it.
yep.
I just think the name Christian Mingle itself is just like a phrase that's just like funny as hell to roll off my tongue.
hmm
So I think dating apps like Coffee Meets Bagel, OkCupid, Tinder, shit like that is fantastic if you're white. Like, okay,
Holy shit.
dude. Honestly, being like a 5'6" Asian American kid who looks 16 and putting a profile up online is such garbage. Like, it is such shit when you find out that like you get no responses or people don't give a shit and don't like you. Like, holy crap, it is so bad.
Hold up.
It's actually so bad.
Hold up. Okay.
And I've talked to a lot of other Asian American and Asian males too in general. Like, it sucks to be a minority on those kinds of dating platforms. And maybe it's just like something with me or like what I'm putting on my profile or like how I present myself. But like, I've been told I look 16. I also know I'm not like the most attractive guy ever, but I'm not unattractive. And I think that it's really like, I don't have these like, I'm also not like super like fit. I am a little chubby. So it's like, you know, when you look at me next to like hot guy 6-pack, you know, like chilling over here, some random buff white dude like taking a picture like at the beach with his shades and like he's got his like unbuttoned white dress shirt and there's me like fucking you know, sitting there like in a purple dress shirt at a formal at college, just like,
Hey,
well,
look,
you're gonna go with the handsome white guy that looks like he's rich as fuck and can take you out. It's supposed to like this is a nerd that like probably jacks off at home and plays video games all day. Like, come on, I don't know, man. It's just like I think it's really difficult for minorities, specifically like in my experience, to be successful or like have any success on those apps. But that's just for guys. I have a friend who isn't really big on social like like dating apps and shit.
Mhm.
But she and her coworkers convinced her to try out Tinder, because one of them was very confident that they can get a 100% success rate from a profile that they create for her. And granted, she's one of my good friends. I think she's adorable and she's like super nice. So she also takes pictures really well. So after a couple of days of letting her profile sit, you know, so it's online and people can swipe right for her on Tinder, he picks up the phone and he says, every time I swipe right, it's going to be a match. And he did it like, I think 8 or 10 times and they were all matched. Every single one of them. And I'm like,
Yes.
it helps to have a vagina on this platform, dude.
It is very true, but that's not just, I think, Asians in general. I think all guys, unless you're Mr. Six-Pack, Johnny Six-Pack, you know, unless you're that, I feel like all guys have difficulty. Not just white or Asian. I mean, sorry, not just Asian, but I feel like all or minority. Every guy. Even if you're white, you could be. You could.
I disagree.
You could be a nerdy little white kid too, right?
I've talked to a lot of a pretty diverse group of white males who have been on Tinder, all of whom have tons of success stories. And like,
Have
at
they
least
been
stories of, like,
attractive male? White
not
guys?
all of them. I don't think. Okay, they're all my friends, but like, not all of them have been like super handsome hot guy 6-pack. You know, like. I think they're all pretty good looking dudes and they're all pretty nice. and they all have stories about how they like went on a Tinder date with like X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, all right, whatever. Like a Tinder date is just like a date with somebody that you meet online. I think that's totally fine. I would do that too. Like I would love to meet somebody new that I have like some interesting because one of her pictures made her look nice or whatever. Or like there's something in her profile that said like she likes this book or she likes that game that I've read and or played or whatever. But like I don't even come close to that shit.
Now, do you
Like,
think it's your way of approaching it? Now, do you think it's the minority's way of approaching how to date on these dating apps?
the minorities? What do you mean? Like
You're saying that the like minorities in general have more of a difficult time than white males, right?
that's just what my gut says based on my
All right.
experience.
Well, okay. So, do you think these people who don't have success, is it because they are not good at playing the game? Like, if you want to consider the dating app a game, do you think it's them? Or is it them being. Oh my god, how am I even saying this? Like, do you think it's the way of kind of talking to these girls or messaging these girls? Or do they instantly get declined every single time because of their picture?
That's like that's way too broad. I think that's like a case by case question. You can't. It's hard to say that like, oh, every minority that is struggling messages girls awkwardly so they don't get any, or like they present things awkwardly so or like differently so they don't have success.
Well, when you said that you think that minorities have a lot more difficult time on these dating apps, that's what I'm trying to get or trying to figure out what your idea of difficulty is. Is it because of them? Do they not? Is it the way they look, or is it just the way they handle the situations when they're on
I have
that
no
dating
idea.
app?
I
So-
really think that's like a case by case thing, but I also have like read research that like Asian males are considered like the least attractive of most males. So it's like that's cool.
Mhm.
But I really don't know. Like, I have no idea like what other people are doing. I just heard from like other Asian American males
Mhm.
that they also struggle and they don't have as much success as others.
I've heard some success stories from certain Asian males, so that's why I'm trying to gauge your side. Whereas you say there's a lot of people that you know that may have not had as much success, whereas the people from what I've heard have gone on many dates and they have the ability to go on many dates.
Maybe it's
But
just
they
a
just
personal problem
choice.
for me. It could just be my own personal problem. I don't know.
Oh, well, it's an interesting topic and an interesting idea because these dating apps, you have to be I feel like you have to be very specific in what you do. You can't. It's almost. Think about it. You said your friend, the girl, has hundreds of matches or could potentially have hundreds of matches. You have to be that one guy among these hundreds of guys that actually either made her laugh or made her think a different way or have stood out in one way. So I feel like, in just my opinion, guys just have a lot more difficult time in success on these apps.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. So what are your thoughts total overall on everything that we've talked about? School dating, high school, college, I guess they're very different still, versus real world dating. In my opinion, socially acceptable because you are more mature once you get out of school. So everything out of school seems so much more mature. You handle situations differently. Dating is so much more casual.
Hmm.
Whereas in college and high school, it's so much more relationship, strict. Oh my gosh, immaturity.
I think
That's how I.
everyone is going to have like vulnerable moments where they make poor decisions or they do things impulsively in a relationship because it is so heavily emotionally driven in terms of how you act and how you feel. I don't think that any relationship would be happy if there wasn't some kind of emotional drive to it either. I think that you have to have a healthy balance between how logically driven you are and how emotionally driven you are because it's not a 50-50 one either. I think it really depends, but People are gonna do stupid shit no matter like how old you are and like what phase of your life you're in. But um, I think that the experience of dating is just different based on who you talk to, where you go, and what kind of people are around you. So, in any case, I just think that there shouldn't be so much pressure on people to put labels on things. I don't think that there should be so much pressure to present things in a way for other people to see. I think you should do things the way you want to do them, where you and your partner are happy. I guess I say that because I know a lot of people who like are very, stressed out and anxious over the idea of like putting their relationship status on Facebook or some shit, or like the idea of deciding whether or not they want to get married. Maybe they just want to be with each other for a long time, but not have to go through those things. Maybe they want to do it because like, oh, the tax benefits or whatever. But like in general, I think that you should make sure that you find somebody that you can communicate your goals and values of happiness to, and then you can do the same for them. And I think that ultimately will make you a happier person than whatever anyone else tells you.
This is why we have you on the show, man.
What do you mean?
Look at that articulation. Woo!
Yeah, but I'm still single, man. None of that means anything.
Well, there you have it. Johnny said it perfectly. Exactly what he said, It sounds good. Sorry, wrong way. Point that way. Overall, very interesting topic. Let us know what you think. If you agree, if you disagree, what your thoughts are, what your experiences were in college, or if you have any friends that had interesting experiences, please let us know, because I'm curious. I'm always curious about just dating life in general, or just the outside dating world. So, any final thoughts, Johnny?
If you love the episode, make sure you subscribe, but that's really it. I think that Dan and I had a lot of fun on this episode, just like going and talking about random shit. I didn't think I was going to talk about my past today either, but that was kind of fun too. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you'll see us next week.
See you guys later.